Hi, my name's Craig Mackay with Certified Management Consultants of Canada, and we are here with our guest speaker from our professional development event regarding change management that works, and Peter Wittenberg. Welcome, and thank you for the talk this morning. I think that we had a good turnout of folks, and I know the ones that couldn't make it want to hear a little bit more about what's going on in change management today. And you kind of took an approach where you talked about what is wrong and what fails, and you're setting things up for how to succeed. So let's talk a little bit about, let's say, the top three items you need to know about in trying to implement change management successfully so it doesn't fail.
All right, so when people get their hands on the material that was used today, I have to remember that it's a deck and doesn't have a lot of speaker notes in it. However, I identify the three top reasons, at least for me, as being leadership and vision, and commitment and accountability, timeliness, and taking a lean approach or an agile approach to change. There are a lot of indicators of why things don't succeed, but as you noticed in the presentation, I kind of debunked the myth of 70% of change management projects fail. The reality is that better than half of them have measured success. So it's really not about how to revolutionize how we do change management, but how to change our thinking about what the current state is and how do we respond to today's requirements to produce real results in a real time.
So another point that I wanted to talk about was obviously a big important element with change management in a large project is to get in early. You brought that up, and you're very clear on that, and even the people in the audience were very clear on this is critical. But I also think we need to talk a little bit about how do you communicate with the stakeholders and make sure that you're reaching the proper stakeholders. Talk a little bit about that in your experience.
Well, in terms of, so that's two questions, I think. What do you say and what kind of conversations do you have with stakeholders versus who are your stakeholders, right? So I think the first question to answer there before how do we deal with them is who are they, right? And that's the other point that I was making is that most projects short shrift the whole concept of stakeholder identification, stakeholder analysis, and therefore they don't really have a lot of meaningful content in their change management program, because the essence of a change management program is to identify, first of all, how people are aligned or not within a community, as actors within the process, to what you're trying to do. And once you're able to identify who they are, and you're able to identify what their requirements are, and then the gist of your change, you can identify the gap between what they think they need to get out of this and what you're actually doing and whether or not it addresses it. So the essence of stakeholder analysis and change management is identifying the gap between what they expect to see happen and what you're actually going to do. And the other piece is how you're able to demonstrate that their investment or participation is actually going to be exceeded by the benefits that they're going to achieve. And my experience is that in most cases, projects or initiatives don't really focus on answering those questions for stakeholders. There's a lot of window dressing on that.
Right, so a change management consultant can come in and help focus on those expectations of a stakeholder that may not be addressed in the main areas of this large project. And then by doing that, bring them into the process in a more positive manner and help manage their expectations and deliver some requirements that they need.
Yeah,
is that right?
One of the phenomena you'll see is that there are some practitioners, others who are involved in managing the process, who do a pretty good job of appearing to have identified the main issues and the gaps, right, to everyone else.
Right.
But because they don't go through the due diligence of actually engaging those people and having those conversations, it falls apart when those people start to become active and involved, because they say, "Oh no, that's not it. That's not right. That we didn't tell you that." Right. So part of the
Right, so
problem.
you really need to drill down to
You-
those
it-
end users.
The reason why it
affected.
fails
Yeah.
in most cases is because we really don't understand what the impact is on the stakeholders who are involved. And therefore, if we don't really understand from their mouths what the issues are, what the problems are, we can't effectively address them.
Perfectly well said. Now, I just want to put a little plug in for the Strategic Change by Design course that Louise Harris has been offering, and we've been promoting it through CMC Canada and CMC Ontario. And you've taken that course. You've been a longtime practitioner, and how did you find that this course helped to give you even more tools for your trade?
Well, you saw quite a bit of it today, actually. So it wasn't so much the lean change part of it, but certainly I'm really impressed with the Strategic Change by Design program because of its alignment to enterprise architecture, to all of the other dimensions of the strategic management practitioner skill set. It's so well aligned to the concept of management consulting, to the model that the CMC provides in terms of an engagement model, and not. So I really like the fact that it's strategic by nature, and it's aligned and integrates really, really well with all those other disciplines: business process management, risk management. So in fact, that program consistently brings you back to, it's a hard science. It's not a soft and fluffy undertaking. It is really about, we identify the risks related to our inability to meet the expectations of our stakeholders. And once we've identified those risks and the impact of doing that, then we're actually able to come up with meaningful mitigation strategy. So change management is really, as I was saying, one of the best tools to scope your project, to define your risk model within the project, to how your approach is to business process transformation and alignment. So I really like the way that it set itself up to be part of a management consultant's toolkit that wasn't a non sequitur. So when I do risk management, I'm doing change management. When I do project management, I'm doing change management. When I'm doing enterprise architecture, I'm doing change management. And that's what really hit me, what really brought me to the realization that that program has more value than any of the other change, because it's where I live. It's part of my domain, my professional domain. It aligns to my ethics, my principles, my values, but it also provides me with the tools to round out my strategic management tool set. And I don't see that in any other change management program.
Fantastic. Thank you, Peter, for your talk today at our professional development event. And we'll have more on the Strategic Change by Management course through CMC Canada. Thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Thanks.